When people talk about money going out the game, if an agent gets paid for not doing anything, that's money going out the game.
Right.
If a company's looking after a player and contributing to him doing something positive, whether he's even for the community or society or for football, that's not money going out the game.
Right.
So what drives me nuts is too many agents in the game taking money out of the game because they've just found a way to get money out of the game without doing anything constructive for the clients.
We have this disconnect that we feel that we can't be able to take that player from A to Z without having someone get involved in it that doesn't necessarily know the situation of the player, know where the player's coming from, know what the player's about. But the fact of the matter, the value that they bring to the table is that they have the relationship with the club owners and with the manager. So therefore, they become valuable to that player more than the person that actually helped the player get from his circumstance to the place where he can fulfill his potential. And that's where, you know, players end up leaving the agents that got them there because they feel that, or they get in a situation, they feel that, well, you know what, you got me from A to B, I'm now gonna go with this guy because he can do it for me. Well, that's just a false promise, because if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't be in a position to be with that guy that's gonna do it for you. You see, so it's just about valuing who you are and valuing the people around you, because the person that serves your tea at football clubs and washes the kit should have the same level of respect as the manager, because without them doing that, you ain't gonna get training kit. And neither are you gonna bring your training kit home and wash it. So therefore, what I'm getting at is that you have to respect the person that put you on. And that's why I go back to that LeBron James situation, and that's why, you know, I have a lot of respect for what him and his team have built up. You know, he's now the best basketball player in the world, one of the most highly paid basketball players in the world, or sports professional in the world, and he's done that with his people that he grew up with from day one. And I think there's a lot to be learned in that, you know, and from that lesson. So I respect that, I champion that, and don't get me wrong, what I'm not saying is that because you're black or you're a person of color, you have to do it. No, if you're good, and if you understand, and if you know what you're doing, then I think, you know, you should be given an opportunity. And that's in anything, not just in football, that's in any walk of life. If you apply yourself and you commit to it, then great, get that opportunity because you deserve it. But let's make it fair. Let's make it a playing field where, you know, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. If you're going into a boardroom to represent a player, that player should be treated as the commodity that he is, despite his color, you know, or despite where he's come from. And it's far too often I've been in situations with clubs where we're talking about a player's deal and they're saying, well, if we give this player all this money, what's he gonna be like? And for me, that was crazy to me. That was crazy to me because A, the money that the player was getting was nowhere near what he should have got, okay? But we will get there in the end. And for me, it was laced with the fact that if we give him all this money, is he gonna go crazy? Well, my answer to that was, there's players in this club that's on maybe double or triple. Have they you know, changed their attitudes toward training? Have they not turned up for training? You know, so
one of the things I decided when I first came in, I said to every client I represented, when you sign a contract, number one, it's got to be constructed properly, and number two, in your mind, you've got to be prepared to honour that contract. And then, ironically, people criticise my clients for honouring their contracts. Footballers don't know where they stand. If they honour it, they get slagged off. If they don't honour it, they get cascaded. So at the end of the day, if you learn to win your battles, you've got a good chance of becoming the best you can be as a footballer. Because if you don't win battles, you don't get anywhere. And not only that, you spend a long time out of football. So if you don't learn that you can't just keep changing, because the one thing that won't change is you. You've got to learn how to win battles.
Yeah.
So some of my clients wanted to win battles, some of them didn't. But you find that the one that doesn't want to win a battle, when they stop playing football, they'll have challenges and they won't win those challenges either.
But that's a kind of a mindset that, for me, being in the industry as well, you know, I've adopted that in terms of a lot of the things you said, bringing something to the game and having that relationship with players where they understand what they're getting into and also the road that they're going on. Because you play football, I'm sure Ledge would agree with me, you don't automatically have to feel entitled because you're a footballer. You still have to work at your craft.
But what has to happen now is that footballers have got to take responsibility for who represents them. At the moment in football, there isn't any responsibility. So you've got people coming into the game and just thinking, it's a footballer. Do you know what? I'll say this, I'll do this, I'll do that. With the amount of money that's in now, footballers have got to take control. So they've got to say, there's £1 million a year available in agents' fees. Right. No, that 1 million, I'm going to hire the best manager, corporate manager I can, give him 200 grand, get a top PA, give her 75 grand, organise a team to deal with my community and my brand, and do it that way. Take control. Because if you just have people around you trying to do the work against money thing, do as little work to get as much money, then footballers are never going to become brands. And if you don't become a brand, people can't relate to you. Then they just look at you as someone who's got a lot of money.
But do you think that approach that you have, I totally agree with it, but do you think nowadays with the, with the amount of money that's in the game, Legend, and I'll ask you this question as well, with the amount of money that's in the game now, I mean, from when you was playing, I think we spoke about this before, John Barnes was reported to be earning 10 grand a week at the time, and it was like a eye-watering amount of money. And now you probably get an 18-year-old that would earn that a week. So the way the game has changed, but do you not see players getting so much money that they lose their inhibitions in terms of what they have to do in order to take, like what Sky's saying, taking ownership, because they feel like I'm on so much money, I don't really care what happens next week because they can't see that far.
Yeah, well, they don't, but it's also about trusting people.
Yeah.
Lots of footballers have been ripped off. They as you, Sky, they employ people they think they can trust. Could be a family member, and they rip them off. They rip them off all the time. I don't care. You can say, well, pay your 200 grand and get the best one. He might rip them off. Yeah. But I've seen so many people get ripped off, especially people my era.
Yeah.
And the people sort of like even later than that, it's all very well saying get somebody to do this, get somebody to do this, get somebody to do this. But how do you trust these people?
Yeah.
Because they've got so much money, and with loads of money comes dishonest
issues,
people.
Yeah. More money, more problems, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, Sky, how did you manage to have that relationship with your players? Because we're going to go into your client list in a minute, but you represented some massive, massive players, some top brands.
Dealing with journalists, writing emails, whatever it was, he saw that simple side that I could do. But then he also saw that I was what's the word, granite when it came to sticking up for clients.
Right.
You know, I like to have a laugh and a joke with friends, but when it comes to protecting someone, I'll take it really seriously. So that's a major problem in football, is that to find someone that will protect you and give you the right advice is very difficult, because people get swayed by money, family members. You know, footballers, they start at the age of 8 and they play football. So there is a link towards self-gratification and going up that ladder and earning the money. So there's, even though they get a lot of money, they're actually working for it. People around them, they don't understand.
Yeah.
All they see is money. So then their actions and their advice is very shortism, because they want to spend money, they want to get money. So what was your question again?
So the question is, how did you manage to keep hold of and get these guys like Sol Campbell, Jermaine Defoe, and these boys to sign with you? What was you saying to these boys that kept them with you, considering the terrain that they was in with all these agents out there?
I wouldn't...
trust, wouldn't it just be trust?
Trust, yeah. But this is the thing about football.
Yeah.
You can do everything wrong and it can still work out for you.
Probably the only industry.
And those examples create a massive problem for football.
Yeah.
So as an agent, you can do everything right, and a player can still go to another agent.
Sure.
So it isn't the case of what did I do to keep them there. It was that they saw that I was doing everything I could for them, and they could trust me to do it.
Yeah.
See, I like to be an open book with the players, and I like to be very honest with them about what they need to do.
Sure.
So I was sort of giving them bad news.
Yeah.
So they'd
but
say
did that
to
come
me,
from your background being an Olympian yourself? You was able to self-reflect and maybe pass that on to a young player that didn't necessarily know how to self-reflect or wasn't really mentally ready for going into what he was about to do.
Yeah, I wasn't entitled, so that meant that when I was before I became professional, I wasn't taking table tennis seriously. Then one day I got beat in the tournament, and I woke up and I said I will never waste another day training, and I trained like an animal for 13 years.
Right.
So now with footballers, the thing is that too many blame other people, and they've got people around them that are blaming other people. You know, if a footballer's not in the team, they've got no option other than to get in the team. There's no option.
No.
So if you are putting yourself in a position where you might be selected, you might not be selected, you've got to make yourself indispensable. And if you don't want to make yourself indispensable, then don't play football.